Hello everyone, welcome to MentorMe. Today we are presenting you with an exclusive interview with Cathy, a 70-year-old figure skater who is defying age and expectations on the ice. At 70 years old, Cathy is proving that it is never too late to chase your dreams. In this inspiring interview, we will learn how Cathy overcame obstacles and found joy in figure skating later in life. As you watch, ask yourself, what dreams have you put on hold and what is stopping you from pursuing them now?
Yeah, I've heard a lot about you from Vijay. So I'm basically a finance professional. I've been in corporate for 20 years. I've also spent some time in US, mostly lived in Bangalore and Hyderabad. And I'm a mom of two, and I've moved over from corporate to the entrepreneurship journey this year. And yeah, it's been great so far, and would also like to know a little bit about you.
Okay. And to what extent do you want me to talk about myself? Do you have specific questions or
No, just a little intro. Would like to know, a little bit
a
about your
little intro? Over 70 years of exploration, I would call it.
background.
I think growing up with mostly immigrant family in the U.S., very conservative, but they never really held us back. It was push forward, do what you can, and take many paths. I mean, one of the things that I can say now looking back is definitely take the chances, step onto new grounds, keep your ears open, don't say no immediately. And that's I've lived all over the United States. I kept moving with the jobs, moving with a husband I found, and then getting into areas I had never been in before because I felt they were important. So I did corporate work, I did nonprofit work for causes I believed in, and mixed in with all of that was the athletics and the sports. And then having to recover my health. I had let myself go from the age of about 40 to 60. So, kind of put everything else first and myself last. And I'm learning now to put myself first because it puts everybody around me at a higher level.
I think that's really great. Putting yourself first. Not many
It's
do that.
hard.
Yeah, it is very hard, and especially like I think when you have family, you get into all those responsibilities and stop putting yourself first. I think it's really good that you're saying that you're putting yourself first, and I think at some point you really need that.
It's difficult to do when you are the type of person that always wants to do for everybody else. And you want to be the best at what you're doing, but to then realize that your happiness and your goals, when they are achieved and you're happy within yourself, it makes it better for everybody around you. And that part of it, it's hard as a mother, I think. Just the internal instincts of wanting to always be there. I still want to be there for my kids. They're in their 40s and 30s, but I have to pull back a little and say, let them fly. Come on. They're adults. But yeah, that part of it, I think, is just part of the nature of being a mom, but you can do it all. I do believe that if you balance it right and you have a good group of people supporting you, a good team, and you're not afraid to delegate both within your personal life and your corporate life, you can do it all.
Yeah. So, can you tell us a little bit about early days of figure skating and what you loved the most about it when you were young?
So much fun. Early days of figure skating were right here where I'm visiting my mother now. And in fact, yesterday I was able to skate in my childhood rink, even though it's being torn down for condominiums soon. But it's very hot in Los Angeles in the summertime. And to have an ice rink close by, and to be able to go as a family. All the children would get dropped off. It was right next to where my father worked. And when my father got off work, he would bring all the kids home. And we just found it to be so much fun and refreshing and a good escape in the day. But I also love how it feels like you're flying. I loved watching Peter Pan and Tinkerbell, and I loved watching people fly. And to me, skating gets as close as you can to flying. I actually almost got my pilot's license in my 20s because I loved that feeling so much. But I'm very satisfied to fly on the ice and not in the sky now. But it is so much. There's just any skater you talk to will tell you about the joy and the exuberance and just this great feeling of happiness when you're gliding around and you're just feeling that freedom. And you're allowed to express yourself with your body and nobody judges you. I mean, you can be out there with a great skater, with not a great skater, and you can just be doing things with your body and to the music, and everybody's fine with that. And I love it. I encourage everybody to try.
Never had a chance to try,
Yeah.
but it sounds lovely.
It's great. I made all my friends were in figure skating growing up because the same people were there forever. We went to different schools, but it didn't matter because we saw each other before and after school every day. And I've actually reconnected with a number of those people just by stepping back into the sport at age 65. It's blowing my mind.
That's really
people
nice.
I didn't know were still alive, and here they are. We're all back to like old times.
That's really good. That's really good. Any challenges, that you faced during this figure skating, and how did you come over with these challenges? How did you deal with these difficult times?
Yeah, the challenge is as a young person, we had to decide that we were going to commit to the sport because my parents had to put a lot of financial resources behind it and their time. And there were, at one point, 4 of us were skating, all the girls in the family. My brother's like, I'm going to get away from the girls now. This is great. But there was a point when my parents had to put their foot down because it got too expensive. And two of us continued, the 2 older girls, because we were the best and we were the most committed. But it came to a point where you had to give up other things. Like I couldn't be a Girl Scout. I wasn't allowed to keep doing the swimming. There were other things I wanted to do, but you had to commit completely to the sport to be good. And it was many, many, many hours every day. And then school, they wouldn't let us keep skating unless we kept the A average in school. So we had that kind of pressure. Also, there was a point in figure skating where I had to realize I was not going to be Olympic champion. I was pretty good in the United States, but I was not going to be United States champion. And I had to make the decision to focus mostly on graduate school work, to set my future, to have a job. And that was a period of transition that was difficult. I remember when I reached the highest level of figure skating, and I was also my first year of college, I'm like, well, what do I do now? Where does my life go from here? Because I've achieved my goals in figure skating. And now I have this, whole college life set out in front of me and a family that was pretty demanding of you getting the best education you could. And that's when work started to creep in. School and work started to take over. I was doing less physical activity. I eventually got injured and really couldn't skate. So yeah, those were tough times. And within skating itself, I had some difficult times as a young person when I skated very poorly in competition. It haunted me for a very long time. And those are the kinds of things that help grow you as a person, but also can set you back in certain ways as well. And I turn again back to the man that was my health coach who helped me get past those points late in life. helped me go reframe those situations as a young person and see how incredibly courageous those moments were, even though I saw them as failing moments. So yeah, there's lots that goes on in that whole dynamic of trying to do it all.
Mm, right. So, did you have like, I know you've had a break and then you resume back, figure skating. I think you had an injury. And just tell us a little bit about, how tough it was, coming back to figure skating, what inspired you?
Oh, it was very tough. I was up to close to 300 pounds in weight, and I'm 5'3". I was very big, and I never imagined my body could support me on figure skates. And I wasn't even thinking about figure skating because I could hardly walk. I had both legs over a 40-year time period. It's about a 35-year time period, were badly broken and repaired. And I couldn't walk straight. I mean, I had a cane, and it was bad. But then when I lost the weight, and I got to about 200 pounds, which was still very heavy, my health coach, who was also my trainer, he said to me during a training one day, and he was a very hard coach. I mean, he worked me because that's how you lose 100 pounds. And he said to me one day, right in the middle, I'm lifting weights, I'm sweating, and he says, "So what makes you come alive?" And I'm, what? What makes you come alive? And all of a sudden, my mind, and I think I was at that point 64, my mind went back in time, and I said, well, figure skating did. And he said, okay, I'm going to make you figure skate again. I said, that's not possible. I broke my legs and I'm too heavy. He goes, I'll make you strong enough. And then a couple months later, he said to me, you're strong enough to skate. I said, no, I'm not. I still weigh too much. And I think I was at 190 pounds then. He goes, no, you're strong enough to skate. So my friend, who also works for us and lives with us, he recalled seeing an old pair of figure skates somewhere in storage. And he brought them to the house, and I put them on, and they hurt, but I put them on. And we went to a rink that was 2.5 hours away. And I stood out there. I could hardly move, but I realized the minute I walked into the rink and smelled the rink, I was like, oh, I've come home. And I started to learn that day. And I came back here to Los Angeles to work with a childhood friend who had become the best coach of adult figure skaters. I had breakfast with her yesterday. And she is a great coach, and step by step, learning all over again. You know, we've been starting to get the sport to a level that's respectable for somebody my age. My mother always says, that's not bad for a woman your age. And now we're coming back from knee surgery. I had knee surgery in January, and this has been very hard because nobody told me it would take this long. And I think it's just a matter of, as you age, your body just takes longer to heal. And I'm actually having to relearn the sport again, but it's quicker because I have the muscle memory now and the visual memory of what I was doing. But I've had to learn every step over again because I'm having to build my legs up again. It's been an adventure. And I keep telling myself, yeah, you can do this. Just be patient. You know, baby steps. I have a little journal that I write in every day about coming back to skating and athletics this time around. And I just, each day I look for that 1%. I live by the 1% rule, which is from the book Atomic Habits. And it really does work if you just think of during the entire course of the day or whatever it is you're doing. If you just get a 1% gain over time, that's huge. And that's what we fought for yesterday was 1%. It was very difficult. But by the end of an hour and 15 minutes, I looked at her and we fist pumped. And I said, you know what? We got that 1% today. But I like the challenge. I love being challenged.
That's great. So it shows how determined you are, especially getting back to something like figure skating, having knee surgery. I am sure it's not easy. And if you've achieved it, it shows you're really, really determined. And like I said, I think you're a person who loves challenges. And really reflects.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned how your mother reacted, right? So, how was the reaction with the rest of the family when you said you want to return to figure skating later in the stage, right?
Some of them still think I'm crazy, because I have one sister who always sees the negative side of everything, and she has had a lot of injuries and surgeries, and I keep trying to help her see more of a positive side of that. But for the most part, they have all become quite amazed. And my little sister, who's 9 years younger, she's in her early 60s. I'm taking her to buy figure skates for her on my next trip back in September, because she has decided she wants to try again. And I am thrilled over that. Her husband thinks she's crazy. My mom thinks she's crazy, but she doesn't want to do what I'm doing. She doesn't want to jump and spin. She just wants to dance on the ice. So it's less dangerous, but she's going to do it. And I'm like, look what you did. But I was the one when she was a little girl that taught her to skate. So in a certain way, and she's still working full time and helps take care of my mom. We all take turns taking care of my mom, and she's very busy, but I think that she'll find that little bit of escape and freedom on the ice that she desperately needs right now, because she is very overworked, but also has that childhood passion resurrecting inside of her. And she didn't skate very long as a kid. She was just the little one that we played with on the ice. And I think she'll do well. I think she'll do well. So yeah, the support's there. The grandkids just think I'm the bomb. They're like, they call me C-Ma, C for Cathy and Ma for mom.
Oh, nice.
And they just think every time I post something on social media, they're right there. They're like, there she is. There she is. So I'll be seeing them very
you
soon.
should be the cool grandmom, I think.
Yeah. I like to surprise people. I mean, I like to, when I go in for they have Medicare here, which is as you age into your 60s, it's mandatory you go on Medicare, which is it's decent medical care that you get. And they have an annual question they ask adults. And I was sitting in there, it was my 70-year-old Medicare questionnaire. And the Medicare lady goes, so do you fall? And I looked at her and I went, every day. She looked at me like, I said, I'm a figure skater and I pretty much fall every day when I skate. It's part of the sport. And she goes, well, we're not going to write that down. So I like to throw that little surprise out there. But yeah, and I took some bad falls this last 2 weeks, but I pad my body. You learn how to fall. You learn how to recover. And if you're true to yourself and taking care of yourself, it's okay. And now I'm going to knock on wood so that I don't jinx myself.
Yeah.
So I heard your granddaughter really, supported you a lot when you were trying to, figure skate.
And she still is. And at that time, she was, I think, 11 years old. And her parents were both working. She's an only child. So in the summer times, she would come to North Carolina, where I live most of the time. And we live on a beach there. And she loves the beach. And she would be with me. And she only knew me, as the big, happy grandma who was always taking care of the kids and doing some work on the side. But that summer, when we got together and I had just gone to the doctor in Connecticut, I was commuting between Connecticut and North Carolina. And I said to her, I'm really sick. And she was like shocked. And I said, I've let my body go. And now I have the type 2 diabetes and my blood pressure is dangerously high. And I think I have the weight often to get my body back. And I actually have video of her giving me a little lecture. We were sitting in rocking chairs and she was telling me how I could do it. And she knows that I can be healthy again. And her eyes and the way she looked at me and supported me. And then when we went shopping together and she bought me the Dwayne Johnson action figure of The Rock, because you can be strong like him. And I now actually, in this little apartment at my mother's, on the back of the door is a life size of The Rock, because I usually exercise up here. And the grandkids sent me that life size here and in North Carolina. It's on my studio where I work out there, because I just, every time I think I can't do it, I just look at The Rock and I go, okay, I get it. We're going to do it. But yeah, she was at my first competition because it was in California. And whenever I come out here, we're together. We visit at least once or twice, but they're now pre-college, very busy. But the fact that she really believed in me, and it was right when I was making a decision to get a trainer, and I'd never had a trainer. I always did everything myself in the gym. She was right there the whole time. And her name is Marin, and she continues to be very special to me. Yeah, I can't, hopefully she'll get to see me skate again. She's been at both of the competitions I've done in Los Angeles, and just as supportive as she could be.
Even it's really great that your granddaughter is like supporting you so much, and it's good that you also like take it so challenging, and it's pretty challenging, but I mean it's really inspiring to see you.
Thank you. I would like all these kids to understand that no matter where they go in life, they can always take care of themselves and they can find happiness, because the world is tough. It's difficult. And I know this country's crazy right now. There's just so much random killings, and you wouldn't believe on a daily basis the home break-ins around here, and people are just living a different kind of life. And I'm actually pray daily that that's going to change, because I don't understand random killings of innocent people, but it's happening all the time. And I want these kids to know that beyond that, because they see that every day, they can find a way to make the world a little bit better and a little bit happier. And I raised my boys telling them each day, you've got to have one person smile and feel better. And they're still doing that. I mean, I get these little notes, guess what? And they're getting close to 40, and they go, I helped somebody feel better today. And I go, good. That's what it's about. Drinking a little
really
water.
good. That's really good parenting. To teach your kids, right, to make somebody else happy. I think that's the best thing that you teach them as a mom. And
to spread that love, because happiness. I mean, the same. There's the mindfulness. His name is George Mumford. He's very famous for having coached Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. You can go down the list now. Most recently, the Edmonton Oilers hockey team. He's got a number of Olympic athletes that he is known as the performance whisperer. Mm-hmm. And he is all about mindset and meditation and just bringing it all together. But he says a few things that I use now. He goes, you just need to smile. Even when you're in your most intense moments, you need to smile, because that turns on so many important chemicals in your body, and that recharges you. And I know that I catch myself now trying to teach the kids that, but also myself. And I have the kids coming back to me when they see me angry on the ice, because I will show some temper, and they'll come up to me and say, Miss Cathy, you need to smile right now. You need to enjoy this. And then the other one we learned was turn everything into fuel. So take everything that's going on and turn it into fuel in a positive way. And they're telling me that now. So yes, I am teaching and they're teaching me right back, and I think that's great.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And I think it also shows that you are good to accept feedback, right? If somebody is
Yes.
telling that you need to smile, you're taking it quite positively. Shows your positivity.
I
Yeah,
think
Meghna.
one of the things that figure skating teaches you very early in life
Mhm.
is to accept criticism, because the entire time you're skating, you never do anything perfectly. I mean, there's always another dimension to it that can make it a higher score, make it harder. There's a finger you can point a certain way that makes it more artistic. So you automatically learn to take very strict criticism, and you learn to repeat over and over and over until you do it right. And I think that carries forward. And it's important to learn to be criticized. You get criticized in work. I mean, you're always, corrections are being made here and there. But if you can then take that and use it as fuel and make yourself stronger, that's a way to turn it around, that you don't go home like dragging your head going, oh my God, I just, this was awful. No, you say, okay, turn this one around. And yesterday, which was a very hard skate day for me, I was doing another spin that my coach asked me to do differently. And all of a sudden, I started smiling going into it. And I just said, I can do this. And I did. And it was just, it's a powerful realization that those little changes that you make within yourself can create big results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree, Kathy. Yeah, need to work on your feedback and just not get
Mhm.
demotivated with it. Yeah, totally agree with you. Meghna, you wanna
Yeah.
continue?
Yeah, you mentioned about buying an action figure of Dwayne Johnson, right? So, how do you find his achievements to be motivating? And also, what do you think? I mean, how do you think the young generation can take inspiration from him and, figure out their passions and move forward?
He's a very positive person in supporting young people. I follow him on the Instagram. He's always helping children that need the extra help. He does a lot of the Make-A-Wish grants come true, and he's not in person. He's so busy, but it'll be over video where he's talking and inspiring. But he actually changed my son's life in person. We were out visiting the family here in Los Angeles, and my son was going to a gym that one of the family members belonged to. They got him in as a guest, and next to him on the treadmill was Dwayne Johnson, and he was working out at that time, and that was probably about 15 years ago. And John he was a food person. I mean, food was his gratification. And he was the first person in our family to get really big and lose weight. And he now owns a successful gym. He's amazing. But he was trying, and Dwayne Johnson got on that treadmill next to him and noticed this fat kid on the treadmill. But he didn't, call him a fat kid. He just said, good for you. And he had a little talk with him and a little chat. And from that day forward, my son wanted to look like Dwayne Johnson, be like Dwayne Johnson. And he does look like him down to the tattoos. I mean, he is. I was just watching him today. He teaches each day. He has little videos he puts up, and I was watching his, and I just shake my head. I go, look at this little kid, what he's become. And he's incredibly fit, well respected, and teaches high level athletes in mixed martial arts. And he's also into all kinds of those arts himself now. He's got the black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and some other forms I don't even understand. But I love to watch him teach. And with each coaching session he does now, he teaches about life. He always has a quote at the end, and he teaches people how to go forward in their day about life. And I think it goes all the way back to Dwayne Johnson. Just a few words, and this incredible specimen next to you working out changed his life. And carry forward into mine. And there's a quote on a page I have where I show my before and after. And it's a Dwayne Johnson quote. And it was right at that point when I was starting out. And it said, think of where you were 5 years ago. Think of where you are today. And imagine what you can become 5 years from now. And that's kind of my segment now. I live that way. I'm at that 5-year mark now from coming back to skating, losing weight, and life has gotten a lot more challenging for me now. And that's usually when I would go start shoving the food in myself and not taking care of myself. But I am not letting myself fall behind this time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having to really use a lot of mind control to keep moving forward in a positive way and deal with all the issues that are at hand and turning them into fuel. But yeah, it's not like life is not perfect. Life is full of lots of hurdles. And I think finding ways to get over those hurdles without letting yourself go is so critical. So very critical.
Thanks for watching. Hope this video was informative. If you like the content, please hit the like button and also share with your friends to whom you think it would be useful. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for notifications on new videos and live webinar sessions.